Phone calls about whatever you want. Danny is on the line in New York. Danny, you're on Free Talk Live. Danny.
Yes, I'm on. I go to school right now, and they're finally advertising the Civilian National Force.
What is that?
With a magazine. Remember when the president said Civilian National Force?
You mean National Service?
Yeah, but it's Civilian National Force.
That's
right?
what they're calling it?
Well, it's been mentioned that, but there's an official magazine out for it as of right now.
Really? And where did you see this?
This at a school.
And what's the name of the magazine? Brown Shirt?
Magazine is the Black Collegian, the Career for Self-Development magazine for African American students.
Well, now wait, how is that a Okay, I'm confused. You saw in the Black Collegian an advertisement for the Civilian National Force?
Basically everything. All the companies, you can work for America. It has them on the cover dressed like Uncle Sam.
Interesting. Okay, and so what's the pitch? You can work for America. What else?
That they're advertising for everything. Federal government, civilian, military, green economy, STEM centers, and volunteer stuff like AmeriCorps and stuff like that. And private companies are all in here.
AmeriCorps is not volunteer.
So anyone who's in this magazine is connected with the government, either full-blown or subcontractor.
Interesting. I appreciate. Yes, sir. Say again.
They are moving up on they're stepping up their game.
Thanks for the heads up on that, and thank you for the call tonight at 800-259-9231. I just heard the Senior Corps radio advertisement today. When I was awakening in the morning, I awakened to the local talk station here in the area.
You must not get out much, because that thing's been on a lot for a long time.
I don't usually wake up to my radio. Normally, I don't really wake up very effectively at all. I need to get better at that. But as I was laying there, sometimes it's more effective if I just lay there for 30 minutes and kind of come to consciousness slowly. That seems to be one of the more effective ways for me to get out of bed. But as I was doing that, I heard one of the breaks, and this particular station is apparently not very well sold on their inventory, their commercial inventory. So you hear a lot of the fill-in commercials that are PSAs or ad council spots. And
if you hear an ad that says it's brought to you by the ad council on this station, that means it hasn't been paid for.
Correct. And one of the ads was for the Senior Corps, and it was talking about how that one of the they have a bunch of people that sound like they're in their upper ages commenting on how wonderful the Senior Corps is. And one of them says...
It beats moldering to death in your house.
Right. One of them says something to the effect of, once you get started, you just can't stop. It sounded like it was like a drug.
It sounds like somebody's there with a taser making them work.
And once you start, you're hooked. I think she used the term hooked.
Do you think they use hooks instead?
I don't know about that, but I do know that the government is absolutely interested in promoting the idea of so-called national service, and it's a story we've been following for a long time on this show about how it is they're promoting, and they're promoting these governmental opportunities as volunteer opportunities.
Many of them people are compensated for financially, which doesn't mean volunteer.
Right.
And I'm sorry, the government's about the most ineffective organization. If you're going to volunteer, why would you volunteer for the government?
I don't know. I don't understand it, but it must be because they have such an effective PR campaign.
They do get the free ads.
Right, they get the free ads, and they are essentially what they're doing is they're tying in these government programs where you get paid. They're tying them in with real volunteer opportunities, and they're mixing them all together. And they're essentially conflating one with the other. They're trying to make it appear as though working for the government is somehow equivalent to, or actually, in some cases, better than volunteering. When you remember when we got the report from Bile from blogofbile.com from last year's summit that they held on September 11th, Mark, where they got Barack Obama and John McCain together into the same room, and they were both gushing about how wonderful national service is.
Sure, volunteering is great for your church and for the Red Cross and things like that. That's great and everything. But you're not really volunteering. You're not really serving until you work for the government. That's
basically what the message was. I mean, you essentially wrapped up whatever was a very lengthy get together they had that was I guess it was televised on C-SPAN or something like that. But
you couldn't just come right out and say that nonsense that just came out of my mouth. You have to temper that with a bunch of
basically
bullcrap.
said that though. I mean
they did basically say that.
That the essentially the highest form of service, so-called, was working for the state. And so what they want to do, for those of you that don't know, I know we have some new listeners on here all the time. In fact, I think some of our stations are still joining us extra during this week. But for those of you that don't know, they plan on forcing this national service program down your kids' throats.
Well, Barack Obama said that he expects to see a civilian force, a civilian defense force as big, as powerful, and as well funded. I'm not making those terms up.
That's right.
I'm only quoting him. As big, as powerful, and as well funded as the United States military. Oh, good.
Right.
Another bureaucracy as big, as powerful, and as well funded as the United States military. Already a full half of discretionary funds from the government.
Right.
Almost half of its discretionary budget. I think it's more than half.
Calling for an increase of 50%.
50% in the discretionary budget. I mean, that does not include Social Security and things like that.
So that's the plan, is to essentially bring as many American youths into their little government service program as possible.
Yep.
The details,
HUP 234.
Now, of course, the details haven't been ironed out yet. It's been proposed, it's been discussed, but it hasn't actually happened quite yet. Though that caller there was saying that they are advertising something called the Civilian National Force or something to that effect, and that's the first time I've heard of those terms strung together in that particular way. But for all I know, they already have some initial program going. I mean, maybe that's been around for a while. I'll try to look into that and find out a little bit more about what the Civilian National Force is.
I'll tell you, I find nothing more disturbing than this. There's things out there that I find kind of close. There was this troop of young black men that was doing Barack Obama inspires me, and in sort of military fatigues. And
I saw that video.
Yeah, it was a video on YouTube, and it was very disturbing. And there's also the young children singing songs to Barack Obama, the God King.
That's creepy.
It is creepy. Now, I know that certainly there was the George Bush cardboard cutout in Jesus Camp, where the kids were too. Kind of praying to George Bush. It was
pretty much.
It was weird, and
they were definitely idolizing George Bush.
To me, one way or the other, I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican, state worship is creepy to me. And it just seems like these people, whether I don't care which side of the coin they come from, they just want to grow the government, and it's this cult of personality. They use it again and again, and I'm afraid that it's because the American people are educated stupid by their system. That this wouldn't have. I just don't feel like this would have happened 100 years ago when there were fewer public schools and people. They were much more localized and things like that.
It's true. I mean, if there aren't, the government schools are essentially the indoctrination arm of the state, and they exist to inculcate young people with the idea the state is beneficial and the state is wonderful, and our state is better than their state, and all of that nationalistic nonsense. It's very effectively injected into young people's heads by these schools, and it's the schools where they're going to reach the American youths to force them into the government national service program. Now, we don't know what the details are, if it's going to be that they're first going to go after high schoolers, or they're going to go after college students, or they're going to be 3 months or a full year, or we don't know how it's going to be structured, but rest assured they are busily working to figure it out. We'll let you know when we find out. It's Free Talk Live.